Ah, animatronics. Technological marvels made for entertaining and impressing people. But what happens when these animatronics have mechanical failures, turn evil, or become possessed? Well, today, you'll hear about 5 movies that take the idea and turn it into a horrifying story. Here are 5 of the scariest animatronic-inspired movies. Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie. Five Nights at Freddy's lore is one of the most intricate and mysterious of any other recent franchises, and that's because Scott Cawthon has managed to create such a great story that has generated endless theories and legends around it that keep the franchise fresh. So, of course, the next step for the franchise had to be a full-length feature film. Back in 2015, it was reported that Gil Kenan, director of Poltergeist and Monster House, and Warner had reached an agreement with Scott Cawthon to direct the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Plans for this movie were well underway, but rumor says that the development was a nightmare, and that in the end, when Scott Cawthon was shown the script, he absolutely hated it. So much that the deal was canceled, and the movie was never made. It has been rumored that the script for the film was recycled for another project that we'll be talking about next. Fortunately, this would not be the end of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. After the deal with Warner was canceled, Scott Cawthon approached Blumhouse for the creation of the movie. Blumhouse, led by Jason Blum, has created some of the best paranormal and horror classics of our time, like the Insidious series, Paranormal Activity, The Purge, and many more. So Blumhouse is definitely the best in the business to give life to a great Five Nights at Freddy's movie. So they began working on the movie. In 2018, the story and the script for the film were done, but yet again, when presented to Scott Cawthon, he rejected them, saying, "I'm sticking to what I've always said. Either the right movie gets made or no movie gets made." This might have delayed the movie more, but this is good news for fans because the movie will surely be great. There's not been any info regarding the specific plot, but we do know that the movie and any other future sequels will take place during the first 3 games. Scott Cawthon said that the games after Five Nights at Freddy's 3 will not exist in the movie universe because he felt this was the best portion of the storyline to really focus on. Now, with everything that has been happening, many feared that the film had been canceled, but fortunately, Jason Blum has spoken, saying that this is far from true. In a special interview for Hey Fandom, Chris Parker from the YouTube channel 3C Film Review asked Blum about the state of the movie, to which Blum replied that it is rapidly moving forward and super active.
It's moving rapidly forward, and I don't want to put a timeline on it, but soon we'll get it. Soon we'll get a movie. I really feel confident about that.
You've said enough. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that.
All right.
A few days ago, Jason Blum surprised fans with a tweet saying that he had just discovered MatPat's Five Nights at Freddy's videos and was going deep on those theories, which probably means that Blum is doing a lot of research on the franchise to be able to create a worthy movie. MatPat responded with lots of questions about the upcoming film, to which Blum responded saying he could maybe answer some of those questions on a Game Theory episode. This exchange led to an upcoming Game Theory episode, where Jason Blum will be giving even more updates on the movie we're all waiting for. Banana Splits. Remember how we talked about the agreement between Scott Cawthon and Warner and how the deal fell through? Well, there was a lot of work put into that movie that had already been done. The story and script were basically done, and Warner, of course, didn't want to waste it. So, rumor says that they took that script and started looking to other franchises that they could use to adapt them for it. It was pretty challenging to find a franchise that had killer animatronics, but in the end, Warner found in Hanna-Barbera the perfect candidates, the Banana Splits. For those of you who don't know, the Banana Splits Adventure Hour was a television variety show produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions that aired back in 1968 and featured the Banana Splits, a fictional rock band composed of 4 funny animals in red helmets: Fleagle, Bingo, Drooper, and Snorky. The show featured the adventures of the club members and included segments like Songs of the Week and comedy skits. Some segments of the show were even recorded in theme parks like Six Flags and Coney Island. While these characters had never been animatronics, it was decided that this franchise would be used for the already written script. So they went from being the stars of a children's show to the stars of an animatronic horror movie. The logic behind this, according to the film's director, was that the characters' appearances with their sunglasses hiding their eyes, frozen expressions, and mouths that sometimes moved and sometimes didn't were perfect, and it was not a stretch to take that creepiness and turn it into a horror movie. The movie was presented at San Diego Comic-Con in July 2019, and it was announced that it would be released worldwide on August 27th of that same year. The film follows the story of Harley Williams, a Banana Split superfan who, on his birthday, is taken to a live recording of the show. As you can imagine, during this experience, everything takes a horrifying turn when the animatronics decide to go crazy. We won't talk more about the movie plot because we don't want to spoil it, but in the movie, the Banana Splits are presented as animatronics and not costume characters like they were originally. But for some reason, there were no animatronics used in the making of this movie. Instead, they used costumed characters. Ironically, this turns out to be pretty funny because the characters' movements are pretty inconsistent. Sometimes the characters move so fluidly on stage, and then in other scenes, they appear to move like rusty robots. This movie is one of those hidden gems that definitely has a cult following. You can notice during the movie parts of the plot that were obviously written for a Five Nights at Freddy's movie and reused for the Banana Splits. If you've watched the movie already, tell us in the comments what you think these plotlines are and any hints to the original franchise that you noticed. We would love to hear your thoughts on this. The Banana Splits is never boring, and it is definitely one of those movies that are so bad that it's good. But if it had turned out to be a Five Nights at Freddy's film, it would have been a disaster. The Hug. So far, we've talked about full-length feature films, but we couldn't miss the opportunity to feature this terrifying short film. Back in 2018, Hulu created the Huluween Film Fest, a month-long event that highlighted up-and-coming horror makers where they would submit short films to Hulu, both to promote their work, celebrate the Halloween season, and be entered into a final prize of having a feature-length film on Hulu. The filmmaker with the highest level of viewer engagement and the highest scores from a panel of expert judges would win $10,000 towards the production of their feature-length film. These shorts were all great, but one of them stands out to all of us animatronic fans. This short film is called The Hug. Directed, written, and produced by Jack Bishop and Justin Negium, the short film takes place at Pandori's Pan Pizza Palace.
Pandori's Pan Pizza Palace.
My pan pizza's #1.
Where a group of children are celebrating a birthday. Now, be warned, here's a spoiler alert because we're going to be talking about the short. The birthday boy wants Pandori, the Pizza Palace's animatronic mascot, to put on a special show, but an employee shuts the animatronic down and tells the kids that Pandori is on a dinner break. The boy manages to steal the keys from the employee and activates Pandori. The stage soon comes alive, and Pandori with it. Pandori is a large panda-like animatronic wearing a red coat in the style of those employed in establishments such as Chuck E. Cheese. He can look somewhat creepy, but almost all of these types of animatronics do. Rockafire fans have speculated that Pandori is a customized Billy Bob animatronic, and they may be right, because looking at both of them, we can see that there are many similarities between these two characters. Pandori soon offers the child a show in exchange for a hug. Pretty suspicious, right? Well, the kid reluctantly hugs the panda, and you can guess what happens next. As soon as the kid hugs Pandori, the animatronic panda changes. His eyes become bloodshot, he digs his sharp claws into the boy's back, and his mask falls off, revealing his true, terrifying face. Pandori drags the boy further down the stage, and the curtains close. The creepy thing about this whole thing is that when the kid's mother is looking for him, the employee suddenly looks to Pandori's stage and the closed curtain. He instantly becomes fearful and charges toward the stage, letting us know that he is aware of Pandori's attack, and that this has happened before. When he checks on Pandori, the animatronic seems to be back to normal, but suddenly notices the muffled crying from the boy inside Pandori, and when he leans closer, the boy's arm rips out from Pandori's mouth, showing us that the animatronic ate the kid and he is trapped inside of it. This short was inspired by some accidents at Chuck E. Cheese, and of course, Five Nights at Freddy's. Freddy's fans know what we're talking about.
Was that the bite of 87?
Let us know in the comments if you're Team 87 or Team 83 or both. The Hug is an excellent and terrifying short that animatronic fans will really enjoy. It sadly didn't win in the end, but we would have loved to watch a full-length film based on Pandori. You can watch The Hug in Hulu's YouTube channel. We'll leave a link in the description so you can go give it a watch, but be warned, it is pretty scary. Willy's Wonderland. In 2018, a new announcement drew a lot of attention among animatronic fans. Screen Media Films is creating a new film about possessed animatronics in an abandoned theme park that will be starring Nicolas Cage. Fans of animatronic bands like the Rockefeller Explosion, the Wolfpack 5, and of course, Five Nights at Freddy's were very excited to hear about this. This film is Willy's Wonderland, initially titled as Wally's Wonderland, and it featured Nicolas Cage in the role of a janitor trying to escape from a hellish amusement park. Filled with demonic animatronic animals, it will be directed by Kevin Lewis and written by G.O. Parsons. The stars of the film are several animatronics like Willy the Weasel, Ozzy the Ostrich, Tito the Turtle, Nighty the Knight, Cammy Chameleon, Artie the Alligator, Gus Gorilla, and Siren Sarah. From these leaked images, it looks like in some of these scenes, they will be done as costume characters, kind of what we see in the Banana Splits movie. But that doesn't mean that there will not be any actual animatronics being used in the production of the film. For the time being, nothing has been confirmed, but we certainly hope that there will be some. This movie is set to be rated PG-13, which made some people mad because they hoped the film was going to be bloody and gory. But in reality, this is far from bad news, since, thanks to this rating, the movie will have a larger audience, so we might be getting more movies like this in the future. The director's vision for this movie is kind of a Pale Rider versus Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which sounds very interesting to say the least. And not only that, but it mixes three of our favorite things: animatronics, abandoned theme parks, and of course, Nicolas Cage. There's no official release date yet, but rumors say it might be coming out this November, so keep your fingers crossed. Willy's Wonderland is very likely to become an instant classic, and we can't wait until it comes out. Child's Play 2019. Chucky has been a fan-favorite character for many years, and people are always excited when this animatronic doll is returning to the screen. So you would think that there would be only positive reactions to the Child's Play remake that was announced in 2019. But this was not the case. There was a huge controversy from Chucky's hardcore fans and original creators when the movie was announced. Don Mancini was in his early 20s when he wrote the script for Child's Play and created Chucky. He teamed up with producer David Kirshner and director Tom Holland to create the film, which was released by MGM United Artists. The film was, of course, a huge success, and a sequel began being planned. But during this time, Christopher Skase, an Australian venture capitalist, attempted to purchase MGM UA and decided that he didn't want the company to make any horror films. So MGM let the team know that the movie would not be made, and they were free to take the movie and produce it somewhere else. As soon as words got out of this, lots of companies expressed interest in taking on a Child's Play sequel. But the rights to the movie went to Universal after Steven Spielberg called David Kirshner and asked him to give Universal the first shot at it. Ironically, the deal fell through, and Skase ended up not buying MGM. Directed by John Lafia, written by Don Mancini, and released by Universal, Child's Play 2 came to theaters in November 1990. Since then, there have been 6 Chucky sequels, all of them featuring Brad Dourif as Chucky, and all of them written by Don Mancini, who also directed the last 3 in the series. He is also working on a Chucky show for the Sci-Fi, and plans to make more Chucky movies, so he is clearly not done with the franchise and Chucky's story. But while Kirshner and Mancini could sequelize the original Child's Play movie, UA maintained the right to remake Tom Holland's original film. With Mancini's Chucky series no longer a presence in cinemas, the company decided to do just that through its Orion Pictures subsidiary, and MGM fast-tracked the Child's Play remake last year. They approached Kirshner and Mancini to see if they would come on board as executive producers. The pair declined because they felt it was insulting for them to be asked to have this little involvement in what MGM was doing, after they had just made 2 Chucky movies that had done extremely well. Mancini, Dourif, and Jennifer Tilly spoke out against the movie, ironically giving it more exposure. This new film was written by Tyler Burton Smith and directed by Lars Klevberg, and it stars the amazing Mark Hamill as the voice of Chucky.
And remember, he's more than just a toy. He's your best friend.
Here, Chucky is not possessed by a serial killer. He is a full-on AI animatronic manipulated by a disgruntled employee by disabling all of its safety protocols. Chucky begins to display violent tendencies after learning them from horror films. So the whole film is more about technology gone wrong than supernatural possessions. MGM partnered with FX Studios' Master FX to create the Buddy doll. To get started, Master studied what Kevin Yeager had done with the original Chucky movies to be able to replicate that into the new animatronic. But the difference was that while Kevin Yeager and his team had almost a year to build the Chucky dolls for the original film, the crew at Masters FX would only have 9 9 weeks. In order to meet this tight schedule, Masters would have all 3 of his shops, Vancouver, Toronto, and Los Angeles, working on it. The team assembled 7 practical animatronic puppets, each with interchangeable arms and heads that performed a variety of required actions on set. Masters FX would also build a large amount of the Buddy line of dolls, the product that would appear on the store shelves. However, the dolls inside the boxes were simply empty shells that were not required to do anything. The remake is a very different take on the Chucky franchise, but that doesn't mean it's bad. So for the time being, we will live in a world with 2 active Chucky franchises. Let's see how it goes. Those of you who have watched the new Child's Play movie, tell us what you thought of it. Which of these animatronics did you find to be the scariest? Check out our Scariest Disney Animatronics video. Also, to see some of the scariest Disney animatronics, and if you want to take a step further and actually visit them, start planning your next magical vacation with our friends from PixieVacations.com. They will help you plan your perfect vacation to any Disney or Universal park, specifically tailored to your vacation style and budget. And working with a Pixie is completely free. So talk with them to make the best out of your next vacation. See you next time.